Okay, so let's do a quick wrap-up discussion. While part of the decks that we faced were not that typical or representative for Modern, they seemed fairly competitive and resembled to some form other strategies that are more common in the format, like the Restore Balance deck did not play that much different from, say, a Living End deck. It was basically a Cascade based combo deck, so it wasn't that far off the beaten path, I would say. There's a bunch of decks that play out similar in that matchup, so it's still a useful result. Also, that's the second time we have run into a similar deck in a short while, so maybe these decks start popping up more and become a bit more popular because there's maybe some potential there that people are trying to figure out. I don't know. The second deck was certainly kind of interesting to me, and there's plenty of other like mid-rangey, value, grindy type decks with less disruption and basing their game plan more on power, so it wasn't that useless either to play against it in terms of testing the deck or like seeing how the deck fares against different strategies and different things. And in fact is still one of the top linear strategies in the format. And so yeah, I think the deck all in all did really well. I like the changes so far. I like the current list. I honestly wouldn't know what card I would want to change in the main deck right now, even after those games. And I think I would want to stick to this main deck for a while, test it further and see if I notice anything that I dislike or that I'm missing that should be added or should be cut. Same goes for the sideboard. Deprive needs some more testing, but I could easily see Deprive just being straight up better than Negate. Especially that in a lot of matchups that we want more counterspells, Reveler is not that important because it's often against combo decks and the games are not very grindy. You just need to have that one answer in your hand that stops them from winning before we kill them. And Reveler usually doesn't do a whole lot other than give them a window to kill us, because we tap low or out on in terms of mana and might discard any counterspells that we are still holding and might also not draw into one that we can cast. So that the remaining Revelers might even often get boarded out in matchups where Deprive would come in. So I could easily see Deprive being totally fine over Negate, because Reveler is like one of the main cards that it has tension with in terms of returning a land to our hand. The rest of our deck costs 1 to 2 mana mostly, and returning a land does really not matter because we never need more than 2 to 3 lands in play anyway. There were some sideboard changes that we didn't get to test that would also need further testing in the future. But yeah, I think the deck certainly has potential and got new tools that helped it get better. There's still some fine-tuning and minor balancing to do, and maybe other avenues to be explored, like maybe a counterless version, like some people have suggested in the comments, dipping into black, not going like full Grixis, since I definitely would not want to be playing delve creatures, for example, but maybe playing discard spells instead of counter spells, and a couple of terminates instead of vapor snacks could be an interesting avenue to explore. That would also to some extent strengthen Thing in the Ice, because you can go like discard spell into Thing in the Ice to protect it, for example, and would allow us to play more Bedlam Revelers because we can preemptively disrupt our opponent and then refill with Reveler. Some people brought up similar thoughts in the discussion about the article on Reddit, and while I don't agree with some of the Grixis elements that people brought up, I think the whole discard Reveler synergy might be worth exploring, even though it's kind of anti-tempo. You can to some extent use discard occasionally to create some form of tempo by breaking up the opponent's curve if they only have like one card in a specific curve slot. By taking that, you might make them either not be able to use their mana at all on their turn, or use it inefficiently, for example, which in turn makes up for the 1 mana invested in the discard spell. And it also has nice synergy with the prowess, where counterspells don't have that much synergy. So yeah, I think that's it for me again for this week and with the deck. Let me know in the comments what you think and how you like the changes, and yeah, if you want to see more of this, and I might like explore, and I also might consider exploring the whole Black Splash thing that I just talked about in a future article or video, depending on how things pan out in testing. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.